Hello there. And today I have a very fun and cool topic for you, and it just would be, I would say, food for thought. Something I haven't structured this YouTube video, something I just want to go and think out loud about Russia, and whether Russia belongs to the east, to the west, or whether Russia is something very specific, or as some people call it, civilization in itself. So I think, and this is a very interesting topic because it actually reveals a lot about the concept of the West. Because when you start, analyzing Russia, Russia has this a very specific, undefined position in Europe and in the Western order, where I mean, of course, now with the war in Ukraine, officially, people would say it is the West, it is the enemy of the West, and so on and so forth. But like, the reality is that Russia sort of occupies this very interesting position when it has always been related to the West, and Russia itself throughout its especially recent history, but throughout its almost three centuries, has always been trying very hard to relate to the West or relate to Europe. And throughout this process, it always gets a sort of rejection from the West. And this way, it always reinforces this debate in Russia whether Russia belongs to the West or not. So in this sense, Russia always has this peculiar Western gaze embedded in its own identity, whether everything that Russia does, in certain sense, it always has the audience in the West. That's the same way as to say that whatever Russia does, it does for the West, to get recognition from the West, even if those things they seem very anti-Western. For example, any type of now when Russia talks about creating multipolar or polycentric world order, it certainly thinks about it as provocation. It's something that it wants to get a certain reaction from the West and from Western elites, from Western audiences. So in this case, I find just Russia is a very um, fascinating example in the process of Western identity formation, where the country that seemingly wants to be part of the West always gets rejected, despite numerous attempts to become the West, and then it has like this almost like a broken, I wouldn't say broken heart, but broken. Um, yeah, I would go with like a broken dream, and then it starts because the dream is broken. It needs to find the strength in itself in order to say that it's not the West. So this is how I see. I would say just a very, in a nutshell, a Russian position. So would I call it like Russia is a very specific type of entity? Is a very specific civilization? Mm, I think it's a very interesting question, and then I actually do not think that Russia is some specific, unique I don't know, self-generating civilization. I mean, it is a specific Eastern European country with its own specific identity, with its own big resources that it amassed throughout, its history, with its own unique history, and certainly with very strong aspirations. However, if you think about culture and identity, I mean, there is not that much of a difference, between Polish people and Russian people. And I mean, it is just the fact. And if you do not believe me, you can just go and, take a road trip from Poland to Russia and just see how many differences you find in how people live, in their culture, in their way of self-expression, in their humor, what have you. I mean, it is in fact very closely related identities, and I would even go as far as to say, Polish people or like Eastern Europeans or Polish people and Russian people and Eastern Europeans in general have way much more things in common than French and German people. And Germans and French people have way much more distinct cultural traits and identities that seemingly do not match. But now, through the process of European Union and then norm formation and institutions, they're kind of being breached together through those processes. So again, I just don't want to make this video long, because I have a new channel, and the way to attract viewers is, I think, to keep videos short. But if you like my thoughts and if you want to see more videos like that, please subscribe, um, share it with friends, and just give it a like. And of course, if you have your own thoughts about whether Russia belongs to the West or to the East, or whether it's a own unique entity, leave your comment, and I'll be happy to answer you and to see what you think about that. So, thanks a lot, and see you in the next videos.